This one is probably one of the heavier questions. It's from the perspective of a wife who's feeling a great deal of sadness because she wants to feel desired by her husband and she feels like she's not and has a hard time with him not telling her that he thinks she's pretty every once in a while, which she would like him to. So her question is, how do I overcome my sadness that my husband never tells me I'm beautiful or in any way indicates that he's attracted to me? This dynamic has forced me to create my own self confidence and validation, but man, it would sure be nice to hear once in a while. I don't even know the last time he expressed that to me. It's hard to not feel jealous when I hear about other husbands who express that a lot. I don't lament my appearance or body. I love myself. I think it's pretty normal to want to be desired by your spouse. So I'm guessing I just don't know what to do after I've expressed this preference. Do I just live and work around this element of sadness and disappointment forever? Maybe I'm not communicating in a way he understands. Does I would love it if you would tell me I'm beautiful once in a while, not do the trick? I'm higher desire in all physical and emotional parts of our relationship, but work hard not to be anxiously attached. I'm just sad. What do you have, Dan?
Oh, I was hoping you'd go first. It's a heavy
um,
one.
I-
I just
it
wanna say,
is.
I'm just sorry she's going through this and acknowledge how hard this is. And I'm sad that you're sad about this too. One thought I had when I read this question is what Paul says in the New Testament in 2 Corinthians 12. He talks about how he had a thorn in the flesh. And if you remember, he asked the Lord like 3 times to take away this thorn, but the Lord didn't in his wisdom. Instead, it's as if saying to Paul, look, I'm not going to take this away. You're going to have this weakness, whatever it is. But because of that weakness, you're going to learn how to depend on me. And when you depend on me, you're going to find that you have more strength. Otherwise, you would be so full of yourself without any weaknesses that then you'd kind of disconnect from me. So, in other words, what I learned from that is many things, but what I want to highlight is there's definitely value in our suffering. And that's a hard pill to swallow, but sometimes by not getting everything we want in life has this refining power over us. It makes us more patient, it makes us more empathetic, it makes us more benevolent, it makes us more kind. Like these difficult and hard things we go through in life actually make us better people. And I think that's part of God's design for marriage because, frankly, in marriage, you never get everything you want. When you're going to be married to someone, and if you're going to have an intimate marriage, disappointment is a big part of being married. And you have to learn how to balance that and cope with that and make meaning out of it. But you don't have to be bitter out of because of it. We can be better because of that.
Yeah, and just building on that thought, I'm thinking of the part of her question where she says it forced her to create her own self confidence and validation. And I think part of this refining experience for her is it created that opportunity for her to really build on loving herself, validating herself, creating that self confidence. She says she loves her body and those things. And although she doesn't feel it from her spouse right now, it has given her an opportunity to do that for herself. And oh man, everyone wants to feel loved and desired by their spouse. That's part of getting married is to have that partner in life. I
Yes.
would say crime, but we don't encourage crime here. But
Uh-huh.
that partner in crime that you want that excitement, that joy, that connection, and you want to be desired by them. And so my heart just goes out to this sweet woman because but I just think of myself that sometimes it's easier for me to see what's not there than to see what is there. And so I don't know if this applies in her instance, but maybe instead of looking for what's not there, which is that being told that she's beautiful or attractive, maybe instead of only looking for that and seeing that lack, it could be helpful to look at the other ways that the husband does express his love and desire for her in other ways that maybe don't have to do with her physical appearance. Um, and that can be really harder done than said, but I think that can maybe be a valuable thing to try to recognize the ways he is showing love and connection, even if it's not in the way that she's hoping for.
Yeah. If he's open to it, and only if he is willing, I think some coaching, marriage coaching from a really good coach might help uncover some deeper layers of what's really going on for him and for her that we just can't see on the surface with this question. For example, there could be some deep-seated insecurities that this man has, or
Mm.
maybe some past trauma. And by trauma, I don't mean like a major event, but just could be a series of small things that have been unresolved that are preventing him. Or maybe it just was never modeled to him. So a lot of men generally don't like to take action if they're not if they're not certain that the result's going to succeed. Think about like a hunter. You're not going to draw the arrow to kill your deer if you're not fairly certain you have a chance at hitting the target, right? So a lot of men hedge, they hold back, they conserve their energy, they conserve their compliments, partially because they're afraid that it might miss the mark. So I just use that as an illustration how coaching can really help dive deeper in situations like this.
Yeah, and as you were saying that, Dan, it made me think of something that I don't know if it's applicable in this instance or maybe it isn't someone else's, but I know that I've had conversations with guys before where they say, I don't want to compliment my wife's appearance because I don't want her to feel like she's being,
That's her only
what's the
value,
word?
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I see her value. I don't want to solely focus on her appearance because I don't want her to feel objectified. I
Yes.
want her to
Uh-huh.
know that I love every part of her. And so I don't know if this is happening in this relationship, but sometimes men are cautious if they're very self-aware to compliment physical appearance because they don't want their wife to think that's the only thing they see in them. And they don't want them to feel objectified by them. So they don't compliment that. So
Yeah.
that's just a thought that I had that could be at play or not, but it is a thought just to consider.
I hear that a lot too, but I don't think that comes from a place of strength. I think it comes from a place of weakness. Because if you can be fully honest, men, generally speaking, too, are visual creatures, right?
Yeah.
That's our primary instinct in how we gather information and relate with the world and with our spouse. So, of course, if you think your spouse is beautiful, to express it and say it, but don't apologize that she's so beautiful and so stinking hot. Like, own it, love it, and it's okay if she so we're so afraid that our spouse is gonna think some way that we don't
Yes.
want them to think, that we hedge. That's again putting us in an enmeshed position because we're now depending, we're trying to control this outcome of this way we want our spouse to think or behave about us, and then so we're playing these mind games. You gotta drop the mind
No,
games because it's
I
dishonest.
completely agree. It's not honoring yourself and what you're feeling and what you're thinking. We need to just be honest and be authentic and be like, dang, you're looking good. And I'm not afraid to tell you. Like, we need to be able to do that.
Yes. Last caution for this woman is, when we have difficulty in our marriages, we often think that there might be someone else out there, some nameless, faceless person that will just love me in all the ways that I like to be loved, and it's a fantasy,
Yep.
right? Um,
Yeah.
and this fantasy is not gonna serve you. It doesn't help solve your immediate marriage problems. So find meaning in your struggles, seek coaching if that's helpful for you. And remember, I think love and loss go together. When you fully choose someone, it also means you're going to choose the parts of them that are their weaknesses too. They're the whole package. And that's part of love. Love comes with loss.
Yeah, it does. I think what you said about like coaching could be really beneficial because it could help them learn to communicate and especially her of, hey, I feel really hurt or undesired when you don't tell me that you find me beautiful at least once in a while. And it's really creating a wedge between us because I want to feel desired. Being able to communicate those deeper feelings could be really beneficial for both of them. So that's I love that you brought up coaching because it could really help both of them learn to communicate those things in this case.
Great. If you have a question, you can go to getyourmarriageon.com, click on resources and anonymous question. That comes to me, and we will do our very best to address those in upcoming podcast episodes, email newsletters, on our Instagram or Facebook groups, wherever you can find us. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe, like, or even comment below.
and go see what other wonderful videos we have that will help you strengthen your marriage intimately.